If your child is barely playing in games, I want you to stop blaming the coach for a second. Because in my experience working with club soccer families, there are really only 7 reasons a kid isn't getting playing time. And most parents, with the best intentions, are laser focused on the wrong one. They're watching the coach. They're tracking who's playing ahead of their kid. They're frustrated. They're confused. And meanwhile, the actual answer is sitting right in front of them. They just don't have the framework to see it. In this video, I'm going to walk you through all 7 reasons. And by the end, I think you'll see your child's situation in a completely different way. I've spent years in the club soccer world, 17 as a parent and as someone who talks to parents every single week about this exact frustration. And what I can tell you is this: playing time decisions are rarely random. There is almost always a reason. And when you understand the reason, you can actually do something about it. So let's get into it. Here are the 7 real reasons your child might not be getting the playing time you think they deserve. Reason number 1, coaches play players. They trust. Here's the first thing to understand. Club coaches are not neutral machines distributing minutes equally. They are human beings making judgment calls under pressure. And they play the kids they trust. Trust means consistency. Trust means knowing exactly what they're going to get from a player when the game is on the line. Trust is built over months, not from a single great practice or a strong tryout performance. So ask yourself honestly, does my child show up the same way every single week? Are they reliable? Do they do the unglamorous things, the defensive work, the communication, the hustle plays, not just when it's fun, but when it's hard? Coaches have a short mental list of players I can rely on. If your child isn't on that list yet, that's the starting point. Reason number 2, practice behavior. Matters more than you think. Parents often focus entirely on game performance, but coaches are watching practice, every single session. How does your child respond to correction? Do they listen, adjust, and try again? Or do they roll their eyes, disengage, or just nod and do the same thing? Are they the player who brings energy to training and pushes the group forward, or are they just going through the motions? Here's what coaches will tell you privately. A kid with slightly less raw talent who is a great practice player will almost always get more minutes than a more talented kid who coasts in training. Practice is the audition, every week. If your child is performing in games but not practicing with intention, that's a problem worth addressing directly with them. Reason number 3, tactical understanding. Club soccer at higher levels is increasingly tactical. Coaches are building systems, formations, pressing triggers, positional roles, transitions, and they need players who understand their role within that system. A player who is physically gifted but consistently makes the wrong tactical decision, wrong position, wrong moment to press, wrong timing on a run, creates problems. Coaches can't trust unpredictability. This is especially relevant for players who are newer to the team or playing in a new position. The tactical learning curve is real, and coaches are often reluctant to risk game situations on players who they feel are still learning the system. The fix here isn't just telling your kid to focus more. It's helping them actually study the game, watch film, ask the coach specific questions, visualize their positioning. Players who show they understand the tactical context earn minutes faster. Reason number 4, physical maturity differences. This one is hard to hear, but it's real. At the youth level, physical development is wildly uneven. 2 players born in the same birth year can have a 2 or 3 year gap in biological development. If your child is a late developer, they may be technically and tactically excellent, but in a physical mismatch against kids who are bigger, stronger, and faster. Coaches at the club level are aware of this, but game results still create pressure to play the physically dominant players. This is not a permanent situation. Late developers frequently catch up and often surpass early developers in the long run. But in the short term, it affects playing time, and it's important to name that honestly. If you suspect this is a factor, have a direct conversation with the coach. Ask them to be specific. A good coach will tell you the truth and have a development plan for your child. Reason number 5. Parent reputation effect. Okay, I'm going to say something that makes some people uncomfortable. The behavior of parents on the sideline affects how coaches perceive players. I'm not saying it's right, I'm saying it happens. When a coach sees a parent screaming instructions from the sideline, arguing with referees, or creating tension at games, consciously or not, that creates friction. And sometimes that friction bleeds into how the coach thinks about that player's situation. There's also a practical element. Players whose parents constantly email coaches, demand meetings, or challenge lineup decisions are sometimes handled differently, not because the coach is vindictive, but because it creates an uncomfortable dynamic. This is one of the hardest things to self-assess as a parent, but it's worth asking honestly. Is my behavior on the sideline helping my child's situation or creating noise that the coach has to manage? Look directly into camera here. This lands better when it feels like a genuine conversation. Reason number 6, team role hierarchy. Every team has a role hierarchy, and most parents don't fully see it. There are core players who play 90% of every game. There are rotation players who get consistent time but aren't starters. And there are development players who are on the team because the coach sees long-term potential, but they're playing 15 to 20 minutes right now, not 60. Here's the thing. Coaches usually know exactly what role each player is in, but they rarely communicate it clearly, and parents are left interpreting playing time without any context. Understanding your child's actual role on this specific team in this specific season is critical. It changes the whole conversation. If your child is a development player, that's not a life sentence. It's a status that can change, but it has to be pursued with the right strategy. Ask the coach directly, what role do you see my child playing on this team right now? And what would need to change for that to grow? That question will tell you everything. Reason number 7. Sometimes it's simply the wrong team. I want to end with the most uncomfortable truth of all. Sometimes the issue isn't the child's attitude or their tactics or their physical development. Sometimes they are genuinely talented, working hard, doing everything right, and still not getting playing time. And the reason is simple. They're on the wrong team. Club soccer is not a system designed around equal development. Coaches build teams to compete. If there are 5 players ahead of your child at their position who are simply at a higher level right now, that's a roster construction issue, not a development issue. This doesn't mean your child should quit. It might mean they need to move to a different team where they can actually play, develop, and grow, instead of sitting on a bench waiting for minutes that may never come at this level. The hardest thing for parents to accept is that the best team isn't always the best team for their kid. Playing time and development matter more than the logo on the jersey. So, if you've been watching this video nodding along and you're sitting there thinking, okay, but which one of these is actually my child's situation? I built something specifically to help you answer that question. It's called the Playing Time Clarity Checker. It's a tool that walks you through a structured analysis of your child's specific situation based on the exact 7 factors we covered in this video. It's not generic advice. It asks you targeted questions and gives you a real read on what's most likely driving the playing time issue for your kid. The link is in the description below. It takes about 5 minutes, and I promise it will give you more clarity than another frustrating conversation in a parking lot after a game. And if this video helped you, if it gave you even one new lens to look at this situation, please hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Tell me which of the 7 reasons resonated most. I read all of them. I'll see you in the next one.